Good evening and welcome to Lead Story. I'm Tyrone Reed. Tonight, we examine the issues making headlines across Jamaica. From questions over tax enforcement and millions of dollars in unpaid property taxes to growing concerns about interpersonal violence in St. Elizabeth. We'll also look at the PNP's newly confirmed regional leadership and what the changes could mean for the party as it prepares for its annual conference. And in our global lead, we turn our attention to the major international stories shaping the world tonight. Those stories and more coming up on Lead Story. Thanks for staying with us. A company reportedly owes more than $26 million in property taxes and penalties, with the arrears stretching back 6 years. Now, the opposition People's National Party is demanding answers over how such a significant debt was allowed to accumulate and what is being done to recover the money. We speak with PNP opposition spokesman on finance, Julian Robinson, about the concerns being raised and the wider question of tax enforcement. Of course, we spoke with Mr. Robinson earlier, and this is what he had to say.
So the context of me raising the concern is that about 3 days ago, the government published that its tax revenues for the last quarter were behind by $26.7 billion, meaning the government collected $26.7 billion less than they projected for the quarter. What that has meant is that the government has had to go back to the market to borrow an additional $30 billion, and billion with 9 zeros, not million. So within the context of a company that has arrears to the tune of $26 million, it brings into sharp focus the extent to which we are collecting all the outstanding taxes that are due to the government, or the extent to which we are not collecting it, which has put us into this bind that we are in economically. Now, the context also, the budget would have been cast in March of this year, which would have accounted for the fallout from the hurricane. So the numbers that we are seeing would have reflected and would have been fully conscious of the impact that Hurricane Melissa would have had on the economy. And even in spite of that, we are significantly behind in our tax revenue collections. Now, some of that obviously would have to do with the lack of economic activity, particularly in areas that would be most affected. But the point I'm trying to raise is that there is a lot of outstanding tax due to the government that is not being collected. And there needs to be a greater focus on effort on collecting that versus look into new measures to fill the gap.
Prior to Hurricane Melissa, though, which is the point I wanted to bring across earlier, prior to the passage of Hurricane Melissa that has done significant damage, wasn't the tax administration ahead of its targets?
Ahead of its targets?
Yeah, in terms of the collection targets it set.
Well, what I would say is, we have been meeting our targets, but certainly it still doesn't account for what is outstanding and is due to the government. And we're talking about billions of dollars. And I think within a context where you are falling way behind your targets, greater effort has to be made in collecting what is already due to the government. And that's really the point I'm making. And I use a specific example because it was highlighted in the media a couple of days ago of one company. But the question is, how many other companies out there have significant tax liabilities that have not been collected?
And that's something you are saying the Ministry of Finance should publicize?
Huh?
Are you saying the ministry should publicize the...
I think in the interest of transparency, I think it is important. The last figure I heard, and don't hold me precisely, is that TAJ was owed about $44 billion. Now, within that, there may be some of these taxes that some are uncollectible. In my capacity as PAC chairman, there were issues with the university hospital which is a government entity, you may not be able to collect all of that. The question though is, how much of it is private sector entities that are still operating? Are these entities on payment plans? Has particular court action been initiated to try and collect the sums outstanding? That's important because the country is paying for the significant downturn in tax revenues. When we borrow an additional 30 billion, which was not programmed, it is going to push our debt to GDP higher than projected, which makes recovery longer than the government's own projections. So it does have an impact on the overall economic situation.
And in the immediate case, the case in point, this company accumulated this $26 million over 6 years. Is it reasonable for those who are looking on Julian Robinson to think something must be off here? How can one company accumulate 6 years of taxes without action being taken? Is that how you see it, or is there just something is wrong with the system?
Well, it highlights the fact that, where was the intervention over this period to try and collect the outstanding taxes? I mean, how do you get to 6 years without intervention from TAJ or the government to collect these taxes? And so for me, the question is, how many other companies or entities are in a similar position where they are running up significant arrears in the millions of dollars, and there, in this case, there appears to be little or no effort to collect the outstanding amounts? That is an issue, and it is more acute given the tax revenue shortfalls that we have right now.
Who should be held accountable for, let's say, for example, a company owing 6 years of unpaid, uncollected taxes? Should that be the members of the political directorate who are held accountable, or should it be those who work at Tax Administration Jamaica? How do you?
Well, I think TAJ would need to answer to explain, like, what efforts were made. Were notices sent? Was there any court action initiated? There are a number of options that are available to TAJ when a taxpayer is non-compliant. So it would be important to understand what efforts were made. And, the reason I also raised it, there is an inconsistency because individuals who may have a year or two outstanding in whether it be property tax or other taxes are treated more stringently. And so what it also brings into question is the consistency in the approach to dealing with outstanding amounts that are owed to the government, and whether there is favorable treatment for particular entities versus others. And again, when you have revenue shortfalls to the extent that we have, this brings this issue more into focus than maybe in better times when you are up to date with your projections. But understand 26.7 billion in one quarter is a significant amount.
And what would a PNP administration do differently to ensure that the taxes due to the government are collected?
I think there would have to be, and obviously the Ministry of Finance works closely with TAJ. There has to be closer reporting. I think there are technologies that can be used, and I propose that in my budget debate around enhancing the collection of GCT. I think there has to be greater focus on the outstanding amounts, the entities, ensuring action is taken. There must be reporting between TAJ and Ministry of Finance because it ultimately impacts the Ministry of Finance's own projections, and specific action plans as to how you're going to deal with what is outstanding. As I said, not every dollar outstanding is necessarily collectible, but then an analysis has to be done to determine what you can collect and the efforts that are going to be expended to ensure you collect what is outstanding.
So what I'm hearing from you, should the PNP form the next administration, there will be ramped up enforcement in terms of the collection of taxes?
Absolutely. And because I think there's a lot, our thesis is that there is a lot of taxes that are uncollected, which if the government collected it, there would not be a need for additional revenue measures. And so it is important to give TAJ the tools, the technology to improve the way they do their work, plus ensuring that enforcement is implemented for those people who are significantly in breach.
I'm out of time, but I have to ask you this one. The company at the epicenter of this discussion that owes this money, do you think that company is being given preferential treatment by the Holiness Administration?
I don't know. It's hard for me to say, but it obviously raises a question. If you've gone 6 years without paying your taxes and without more, it doesn't appear that there's been any action to collect the taxes. So if there's no preferential treatment, it is even more troubling because it means there may be hundreds of other companies in a similar situation, which cannot be good for the country.
The voice there of the country's opposition spokesman on finance, the PNP's Julian Robinson, asking a pertinent question there. How many other such companies exist? Yes, and he's rightly pointing out that it can't continue like this. That's where we bring this segment to a close, but we take the break right here on Lead Story. When we come back, we'll have much more for you.
Get ready for school with Chris and Charles. From July 9 to August 31, enjoy a low interest rate on loans of $1.5 and $2 million. Plus, get 25% off the processing fee on loans of $1 million Jamaican dollars and above. You could also qualify for one of 50 Ready for School grants worth 60,000 Jamaican dollars each. Visit your nearest Chris and Charles branch or www.chrisandcharles.com for details. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles. Conditions apply.
I'm me, the stylist, no scammer, no style me.
From the market to the farm to the office, money talk is everywhere. But are you making sense or nonsense? The Bank of Jamaica brings you common sense with BOJ. Real stories, real laughs, and real lessons to help you protect, grow, and manage your money. Mattress savings.
At least my mattress, no charge me to sleep on it.
Partner plan.
Remember last year we needed our payouts early? But Miss Pam gave it to her cousin first.
Or a sketchy loan flyer.
Electrifying deals.
See why making the right financial choices is pure common sense. Brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, empowering everyday Jamaicans one episode at a time.
Grandpa, it's 2026. You can't keep hiding all your money in every single pocket forever.
Hey, what up, one?
I am Candy Pang at
What a guan?
What a guan?
That's a guan, pa.
What a guan?
What a guan?
What a guan! Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
That's a guan, pa. What a guan?
Thanks so much for staying with us. Now, the police are raising concerns over interpersonal violence plaguing the St. Elizabeth Police Division, with disputes between individuals increasingly becoming a security concern. But what is driving these conflicts, and why are seemingly personal disputes escalating into deadly violence? Tonight, we speak with security expert Robert Finzi-Smith about the nature of the problem, the factors contributing to it, and what can be done to prevent these conflicts from turning deadly. Mr. Finzi-Smith, thanks so much for joining us right here on Lead Story.
Evening.
Finzi-Smith, are you hearing us?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm certain you might be aware of the numbers coming out of St. Elizabeth, Robert Finzi-Smith. They had 9 murders up to last year, I think it was, and I'm going from memory here. and they have about 22 now, which is an increase of about 144%. And I think the superintendent in charge, Coolidge Minto, said 60% of those murders are as a result of interpersonal disputes. It's very hard for the police to police that kind of activity, isn't it?
Yes, but you have to look at the scenarios that's been going on since the storm last year. You have people who are living in less than ideal situations. You have people who are living in areas that it's very difficult to safeguard. You have some people who may not have light back at this moment. And you have people who are making certain that they grab what they can. And that will create disputes.
Electricity, Robert Vincent Smith, surely all Jamaicans might have been restored to the grid by now.
You haven't visited in the Black River area for a while, have you?
We're hardly hearing. There seems to be a little difficulty with...
Visited in the Black River and other areas,
yes.
Have you recently? Rather than take what you're told verbatim, I'm suggesting you go take a look.
So you're saying there are areas out in St. Elizabeth where people, you know this for a fact, that have not been restored to the grid?
You have some people who didn't have proper lighting in the first place.
Right, but that isn't what we're addressing. We're talking about those who were without electricity as a result of the passage of Hurricane Melissa. You're saying, you know, as a matter of fact, that there are folks there who have not been restored to the grid.
They have communities there that weren't good before the storm. It's worse after.
All right, that's a different thing. But you're highlighting a very critical component here. People living in less than ideal circumstances following the passage of the hurricane, and that can be contributing to the misery index, as it were, facing individuals, which can lead to violence.
I don't remember the name of the gang at this moment, forgive me. But there is a gang that has a network that runs straight through St. James, Westmoreland, down into St. Elizabeth. The name escapes me at the moment, but they were doing very well for themselves before the storm. Now, it has now created a scenario and an atmosphere that they are going to take advantage of. And everybody wants their piece of the pie as much as the pie exists.
It does seem to be the new frontier. The police seem to be breaking the backs of the organized gangs. But this whole business of interpersonal conflicts contributing significantly to the murder numbers, it's something that the police will have to look at critically. They have been talking about it. What are some of the plans, approaches, Robert Finzi-Smith, that can be taken to reduce the levels of murders involved or spawned by interpersonal conflicts? How can the police tackle this head on?
Before you go straight into the acceptance of the explanation of interpersonal relationships, have you found out the nature of the killings that have occurred? Was it done by machete? Was it done by a rock stone in somebody's head? Or was it done by guns? If it's interpersonal relationships that is causing a problem, explain how would a gun figure in that?
All right, is there more, or that's where you're leaving it?
No, I'm asking you, have you taken cognizance of the nature of the conflicts? Was it by firearm, by a machete, by fist fight.
Well, we do report on it here, and there are multiplicity of factors that relate to what's the weapon of choice in these interpersonal conflicts. It's not just one thing. The exact breakdown is something that we would have to request from the police to disaggregate the data like that. Have you seen it, Finzi Smith?
No, I haven't seen it. I'm just telling you that my experience tells me that it suits you to find out what is the nature of the conflict and what has been used in the conflict.
All right, and if we get that data, what would that tell us? If it's guns versus if it's knives, that is the weapon of choice. What would that tell us?
If it's guns, where the guns coming from? St. Elizabeth has had a problem in the past of people importing guns through their wide open coastline. So if you hear that a man end up in a situation where he gets shot and is not a licensed firearm holder, where the gun come from? If it's a case where somebody chopped somebody in a machete, you need to find out what led to the altercation. But it would suit us to be able to properly analyze what causing it, to find out what was used.
All right.
That's what two ways. It's very easy to get up and say, oh, it's not gangs. They have broken the back of the gangs.
So you're not. So hold on. Let me see. If I'm hearing, if I'm listening to what you're not saying, Robert Finzi Smith, you're not buying this argument that our police that they are in fact breaking the backs of the gangs. You're not buying that argument?
I go from somebody told me decades ago, and I live by that. Liars figure. Figures don't lie. So it's easy to say somebody died. How many people have died in St. Elizabeth, and what was the architect of their demise? That will tell you what you need to concentrate on. Mediation between people who don't know how to dispute properly without violence, or find out where these people getting the guns that they are using.
Except that you've not answered my question, though, Mr. Finzi Smith. I'm hearing a little skepticism from you, and I'm trying to drill down into whether or not it is actually skepticism. Are you not buying the argument that our police, that they are in fact breaking the backs of the gangs, which is what we're seeing translating into the record-breaking decline in murders?
Sir, let me say it again slowly. Has anybody given you figures where fatalities have occurred because of these disputes? What was the methodology of the unaliving, I think is the current term?
Mr. Finzi Smith, but that's not what I hear you on that, and it's a reasonable to ask for a disaggregation of the data, but that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you a very pointed, simple question. Are you not buying this argument that the police in Jamaica are breaking the backs of the gangs? You're saying, it sounds to me as if you're not buying that argument. Are you saying that's the case?
I don't make any call without empirical evidence.
All right. Have you seen the data to suggest to you that the police are in fact breaking the backs of the gangs?
Data.
Say that again?
Have you seen the data?
There's a massive reduction in murders, and the police are saying what contributed to this is the work that they are doing to dismantle the gangs. They've said it. The numbers have been presented. We've seen the massive reduction. What say you?
Actually, I'm sorry it's led me down this road. So I'm going to say this. Number of people who are getting unalived by ballistics hasn't really gone down that much when you add the fact that there are people who are still dying, but they're dying by police bullets.
So, but even if you had the total number of police fatalities, it still would be a massive reduction in murders. That's not a fair assessment, Robert Finzi Smith.
Are you saying that the police have been murdering people?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying even if you add those numbers, there would still be a massive reduction. Hold on. There would still be a massive reduction in the murder numbers, even if you include those who died at the hands of the police. Even if you include those numbers, you'd still have a significant reduction in murders. So that argument wouldn't explain away the massive reduction.
Has anybody told you what are the natures of the demise of the people in St. Elizabeth?
I realize you're the expert here. You know, this is where you get to shine and give us the answers. But you are asking me more questions than you are providing answers, Robert Finsey-Smith. You're the security expert here.
I am not here to determine for you the cause of this or that. You call me and I'm asking you, have you determined what are the methodologies utilized that have been causing people
and I'm sure the producer explained to you that we called you so that you could answer the questions.
So you're asking me to tell you the methodologies rather than the police?
No, I'm asking you to give me a straight response to the questions I'm asking you.
If 10 people have been said to have been killed in the past month in St. Elizabeth, have you gone far as to ask what was the methodology of their demise?
So that's what you're offering us. Well, all right, I'll give you. I think I
cannot give you comments without empirical data.
All right, so I give you the closing word on this, Robert Finsey-Smith. If you just tell Jamaica, it is being said that interpersonal conflicts are resulting in a number of murders. How best can this problem be tackled from a security perspective?
The first thing, are the people in a situation that is causing them to settle their disputes violently? Have anybody gone in and done mediation or attempted mediation? Do the police have the ability to take reports and effectively quell it before it gets deadly?
All right.
That's what I'm at.
All right, Robert Finsey-Smith there with the questions to close out this conversation. We'll definitely try to drill down into this some more, and we'll bring Robert Finsey-Smith back when we have the data, the disaggregated data, to make this conversation way more beneficial. Thanks so much, Robert Finsey-Smith. Appreciate the time and the thoughts. Indeed. All right, that's where we have to leave it for this segment. We take the break right here. When we come back, I think we should be talking some politics, in particular, the People's National Party politics. Soon come.
Every day starts with care. Care that's always close. SuperMed family of pharmacies is where you go for everything you need. From your morning routine to life's biggest moments, SuperMed family of pharmacies is always by your side. Whether it's prescriptions or household essentials, trust the care that's close to home. Super happy, super healthy, SuperMed.
Let's delve deep into the issues. We'll take you beneath the surface.
Greetings and salutations. My name is Orville Higgins, and it's another edition of Fan Central.
Talking to the people at the heart of the top sporting stories. Hear from your favorite sportsmen and women and the administrators who work tirelessly to make it all happen. It's live sports talk.
I've written an entire article.
Yes.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
One love every time, peace and love in the place. Jamaica one love every time. And that if you say, and that if you do, and that the life if you live. One love Jamaica. Peace.
The time brought to you by the Ministry of National Security and Peace is...
Thanks so much for staying with us. Now, the People's National Party has confirmed its 6 regional chairpersons for the 2026 to 2027 term, with 3 regions decided by a vote and 3 returning their chairpersons unopposed. Among those confirmed are Denise Daly, who will lead Region 4 for the coming year, as the party looks to strengthen its organization at the grassroots level and prepare for its 88th annual conference. What will be the priorities for the new regional leadership? We're now being joined by the newly confirmed PNP Region 4 chairperson, Denise Daly. Top of the evening to you, Madam Denise Daly. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me too.
Indeed. First of all, congratulations on being newly confirmed as chairperson for Region 4. For those who don't understand the geography of it, Region 4 covers what parishes?
Well, Region 4 comprises of St. Catherine and Clarendon. We have 17 members of parliament in region, in the region, and 63 councillors. That simply means if we were to have both municipalities with all councillors, we would have 63. So it comprises of 63 councillors and 17 members of parliament.
Were you among the 3 who were returned unopposed, or did you actually have a runoff?
No, I was one of the 3 that was unopposed.
For people looking on and saying, for a political party, there needs to be voting so that we know that the democracy within the party itself is alive and well. People shouldn't be returning unopposed. How do you respond to that?
Well, the democratic process was still duly exercised because there was nomination for about 10 days. It was open for nomination. And after the close of nomination, only 1 person applied as chairman and 17 applied for the regional management committee. So therefore we were open for an election. We were preparing for an election. But because of the number, we only need 17 NEC reps and we only need 1 chairman. So if you don't have an opposing person, then there is no need for us to have an election. So it's not that we just randomly select. We had it open and everyone was free to nominate who they would want to be their chairman.
So why do you suppose, Denise Daly, that you were not challenged? Are you doing such a stellar job, you think?
Well, what I am doing is I'm doing a job that is totally committed to the People's National Party, but more so very inclusive. So we work together. So I think that is one of the reasons why I was not really challenged, because there's nothing that I've been doing over the years as a chairman that I have not really included each and everyone from the bottom up. So we always have a knowledge, and if there's any differences, we are able to deal with it before it really escalates.
And of course, this tenure will last from 2026 to 2027, and there can't be any challenge to the party president until 2027. Do you suppose that you will face a challenge in 2027?
Well, every year I prepared for a challenge, every year, because we have an election every year, and I've never ever believed that there will not be a challenge. However, we always ensure that we know from early if there will be a challenge. So we are not challenged on the floor. The method that the People's National Party is using is that we open for a nomination. So we would know long before if there will be a challenge, so that we will prepare, so that we will do not have any disturbance on the day.
So you've removed the possibility of being challenged on the floor?
Well, anything can happen. You don't know what can happen on the floor, because even though there is a rule well, or probably the convention, but there is no way that we would stop anyone, even at the end of it, even if it is going to create a little problem, if it is in the last moment, if they feel that they want to challenge, but they could not challenge on the day because you'd have to make preparation long before, because you have to have ballot printed.
And I'm not certain if I'm hearing correctly, Madam Denise Daly, are you saying based on the rules now currently constructed, there can't be a challenge on the floor?
We have an opening for application and it closed at a particular time. So we have a deadline. We closed about a week before. So you would know whether or not you must print ballots, because all of this comes with a cost. So we always open the nomination and close the nomination. Just like if you go to nomination day, after it is closed, you can't nominate again.
Right. So, and it's always been this way. This is not a new a change for the PNP. It's always been this way.
Well, it has been practicing for a few years now.
Practice. So previously, someone could have challenged on the floor.
Right. We wait until the day we nominate.
Right.
But because we realized that we sometimes are not fully prepared, we decided that we would prefer to open the nomination on a particular day and close on a particular time, so that we will make proper preparation.
When was this change effected, Madam Chair?
It's almost 5 years now. Almost 5 years.
Almost 5 years.
Yes.
And how long has Mark Golding been leader of the People's National Party?
No, it has nothing to do with Mark Golding being.
No, I'm just asking. How long has he been president?
I am certain it has nothing to do with.
I'm not suggesting it has, but I'm asking you, how long has he been president?
I'm just saying to you, we are now on the topic of the procedure that we use to do.
Right, and I've just asked you a simple question, Madam Chairperson. How long has the party president been in?
Mark Golding has now entered into his second term in terms of being party president,
right.
Because
so how many years is that, is what I'm asking?
A little over 4 years.
So all right, so a little over 4 years. And this change to the rule about challenging on the floor, was it instituted after Mark Golding became president?
And I might be stand corrected, because we probably it's about 3 years now that Mark Golding is really in terms of leadership, 3 to 4 years.
All right, so who was the president when this change was effected? That no longer allows for challenges to take place on the floor. Who was the president when that change was voted on and approved?
I'm going to be honest with you, because I was not concerned about that area. I do not want to give you an answer, and it is inaccurate.
Well, all right, we can accept that. We'll do the checks. So let me ask you now, there have been at least one controversial race in the election of the chairpersons for the various regions, and it has been reported in the media that there were some concerns in the contest involving Alan Bernard and Jerome Darnells, and it had to go to a recount before Alan Bernard was declared the winner. Can you tell us anything about that particular contest?
It is not, and I believe they are still doing their balance and checks. They are still setting up some committee to look into the matter. On the day and after counting, they declared anyone a winner, just like what they do with the Prime Minister now. They have declared him a winner. It is something controversial right now. The opponent have the matter in court. So
the courts have been routinely dismissing that challenge being brought by the member of your party.
They still have avenues in which they can use to get their own answers and also their own redress.
Do you perceive that he might be victorious on the umpteenth time of trying?
Well, I'm just trying to bring across that in an election, after you have completed an election, if your opponent believe that they are not, the matter was not fully ventilated or that it is not correct, they have a process in which they use, and the process is to either appeal or for a tribunal to be set up to deal with the matter.
All right.
And it is the same thing that they do all the time. So,
all right.
I mean, it is not anything new.
Based on the report that has come out on this, and lots of people are asking questions, initially it was reported on Sunday that the vote ended in a tie between Darnells and Bernard, only for Alan Bernard to be declared the winner upon recount with 131 votes to Darnell's 120 votes. But Darnell has reportedly accused some comrades, based on reporting in the media, of attempting to rig Sunday's election. That's a serious allegation to level at one's party, isn't it?
Well, they have done it over and over. They have done it into different fields. If you go to any elections, whether it is for a school board, whatever it is, if people feel that the matter is not, the due process was not used, as I said before, it is not anything strange to the political party. And I don't believe that they do not have a right. It's a democratic process, just as what you said in the beginning. It's a democratic process. And therefore, I don't believe that this matter will not be settled and settled in a way where everyone will feel comfortable.
I'm almost out of time, but I have to ask you this one. It is said, the cynics are saying Bernard is a Golding loyalist, and that is why there were attempts to ensure that he won. That's what the cynics are saying. Any truth to that?
Let me tell you something. It's a narrative and forming narratives. I have tried to stay away totally from those things, because guess what? That is what creates divisions. And I do not believe that there is any on any side. We are on the People's National Party side, all of us, and we might have our preferences, but it has nothing to do with the regional election that just ran. And people tend to want to put people in different on different sides. And if you should speak to those individuals, they will tell you they have not declared for no one, because we do not have a race running. We do not have a selection for leadership. So, you know, I don't go with those narratives.
On the point of preference, and this is my final question to you, because we have to wrap up in about 30 seconds. It has been rumored widely that Damon Crawford will challenge Mark Golding in 2027. Is your support with Mark Golding or Crawford?
He has never said, I've never heard it out of, I've never heard Damien said he's going to challenge. If he did, I did not hear it. And I would not, that is my democratic right. I would not disclose that, because that should be something that it is my private decision. So that is one thing I would never expose out on the street, because I think that's what people want to hear. We have so much issues going on in the country. We have the people who are being bulldozed in Falmouth there, and there are so many issues. So I would not take that one on as that is so trivial right now in comparison to the children to go back to school. They can't afford the school fee, they can't afford the books, and London Bridge is burning down. So I don't have any time to be looking at leadership, because we did not I don't believe we have a leadership race, and we have any
Daly,
problem with it.
I'm going to have to invite you back to Lead Story. Thank you for coming, but we're out of time. Thank you so much, Dennis Daly. Really appreciate the time and the thought.
It's a pleasure, real pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, that's where we have to leave it for this segment of Lead Story. When we come back, we'll take you around the world with Global Lead.
Imagine if I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Prevention is critical. That's why I recommend Colgate Total.
It's 15 times more effective at fighting the root cause of oral health problems. Prevent problems before they...
We want a piece for Jamaica. Yo, what are you? Oh, man, none of that. No, brother, no. I'm not sure that. You don't see you ever play ref? No, the game, no play. Yeah, but I look a bad game. No, I said, place when you come from, brother, I want to live good, man. I want to live good, brethren. No shake hand, I can play a little bad, brethren. Really have to shake hand? Yeah, man, and no badness, brethren. Just live good, man. I make the violence done. When the stadium run bleach at the grandstand, not the meaning of beautification. It's how we play. It's how we play. When the stadium run bleach at the grandstand, not the meaning of beautification. It's how we play.
Welcome back to Lead Story. Now, this is the segment we call Global Lead. So, we close the show tonight by highlighting three top stories the world is watching. We begin in the U.S. as the U.S. escalates its trade war with Canada. Ottawa is preparing to hit back with new tariffs threatening its car industry as well as a wave of other products. Canada has announced its finance, labor and industry being announced new countermeasures, to protect workers whose jobs may be at risk. We hear more in this report from France 24.
Squaring up for a fight, Canada's finance, labor and industry ministers are set to announce new countermeasures Tuesday as U.S. President Donald Trump vows to hike American tariffs on Canadian cars and auto parts from 25 up to 50% next year. After initially pledging dollar-for-dollar retaliatory tariffs, Prime Minister Mark Carney now says more targeted measures may be called for as he vowed to protect Canada's workers and its French language heritage.
We have been pragmatic, patient and perseverant toward reaching a deal to protect Quebecois and Canadian workers and their families.
Ontario is the heartland of Canada's auto industry. Its premier, Doug Ford, says Carney has his full support.
Everything needs to be on the table. We need to use Canada's many points of leverage to create maximum impact.
Canada has a much smaller economy than the U.S. and sends 70% of its exports there, but it's not without options. Ontario is a major electricity supplier to northern Midwest U.S. states like Michigan. Ford himself has floated the idea of a surcharge for American customers. Canada has also been positioning itself as a potential alternative to China for the supply of critical minerals and metals, supply it could cut off. And the Trump tariffs themselves are already becoming an issue for potential swing states in the U.S.'s fall midterm elections, including states like Maine and Michigan, which sends a third of its exports north of the border.
That reported from France 24. Now, displaced Palestinians in Gaza are enduring intensifying summer heat while living in tents with scarce electricity, water, and adequate shelter. Families resort to bathing children, spraying tents with water, sitting in the most ventilated spots, and repairing old fans. But prolonged power cuts and depleted batteries limit relief. Al Jazeera tells us more.
Another scorching day in Gaza, where displaced families living in tents are struggling in the extreme heat. With no cooling systems or electricity, rising temperatures are making already difficult living conditions even worse. Muhammad Abu Ouda is trying to soothe his 8-month-old baby. Jude's little body is covered in a heat rash.
We use little water to bathe the children and spray the tent to cool it down. We sit in the most ventilated area we can find, constantly moving pieces of cardboard around to help circulate the air.
The tent flap is closed. The little privacy the family has in this overcrowded camp. And inside it is unbearably hot. Nasaim Hajjaj's tent is nearby. There is only one small opening for ventilation. She says she and her 5 children spend most of the day fanning themselves with a piece of plastic.
When the heat becomes unbearable, we take the children outside and bathe them to help them cool down.
Abdurrahman Abid owns an electrical appliance shop. He says business is low this summer.
People are struggling financially, and those who have fans are doing everything they can just to get through the summer. There's no electricity, and many people's batteries have run out.
In a place where war has shaped every aspect of life, the heat is yet another daily struggle to overcome. There are few solutions, so displaced families can improvise, doing whatever they can to cool down. Muad al-Kahlout, Al Jazeera, from Deir al-Balah, Palestine.
In our final story in Global Lead tonight, a village in the south of France has been hit by a tornado, causing significant damage in the village of Pomas. It injured over 40 people and affected about 300 homes. Rescue teams are carrying out searches while emergency accommodation has been set up for residents, and many continue to experience power outages. Here again is this report from France 24.
Debris lies scattered on the floor of this church in the village of Pomas in southwestern France. The destruction comes after a tornado of severe intensity ripped through the area on Monday. The region had been under a thunderstorm alert at the time when wind gusts exceeding 100 kilometers per hour were recorded. According to local authorities, over 300 homes have been damaged.
When the wind picked up, we went to take cover. There were huge gusts, roof tiles crashing down everywhere, stones flying around. It felt like we were at war. We were lying under the table. There was nothing else we could do. And I'm actually the cook at the restaurant you can see over there. Well, there's no restaurant left now. The grocery store is gone too. It's a real disaster.
There's going to be a lot of work to do, a lot to rebuild. But we're healthy, and that's what we must focus on.
Over 1,400 homes were still without power on Tuesday morning. And while 17 people were hospitalized in the wake of the tornado's passing, local officials say it's a miracle there were no fatalities.
For me as mayor, it's still a huge sigh of relief because we could have 20, 30 deaths, 30 victims. There were people who went into houses. The houses collapsed. They were rescued. It's a miracle that there were 0 victims.
While there were no reports of missing persons, firefighters continued search and inspection operations throughout the night. Each year, France experiences several dozen low-intensity tornadoes, and according to the National Weather Service, the impact of global warming on their frequency and strength remains unclear for now.
Of course, that report there from France 24. And that's where we bring the curtains down on today's edition of Lead Story. On behalf of all of us here at CVM TV, pleasant viewing. Stick and stay with us at the top of the hour. The best news in the country, CVM News.
Watagwan. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.